Hello everyone, can you see my screen?
Yes po.
Yes
Doc.
po.
Again, good afternoon everyone. I'm Dr. Tansinko, so I'll be discussing about puerperium lactation and family planning. May nakikita ba kayong black doon sa screen? Sa taas, wala.
Wala naman po, Doc.
So, we will be discussing about the Philippine situation regarding fertility, the impact of unintended pregnancy. We'll discuss about postnatal care, family planning, and contraceptive effectiveness. Discuss benefits of family planning, and we will discuss about life assessment and counseling. Discuss the different methods of family planning, their effectiveness, mechanism of action, side effects, contraindications, and when to start, and the list of references or tools for MP services provision. Meron na ba sa inyo na tinanong na mga friends or relatives about contraceptives? Please show raise of hands if meron na ba. Meron na ba sa inyo? Friends who have asked you about contraceptives? Anyway, meron na. Okay, so meron. Okay, so even as medical students, your friends would really ask you about it. So I'll give you some of the references you can actually download and see online to help you out, counsel your friends or relatives about it. As of May 2020, our official Philippine population is already 109 million. Back in 2015, it's 100 million. The thing is, parang this year pa lang magkakaroon of 2020 official Philippine population. And based on the statistics in 2023, there's about around 1.5 million registered births from January to December 2023. So it's a bit lower than 2014 and 2020. But still, it's a bit high pa rin. So on the average, we would have 4,000 babies born daily, 165 babies born per hour. So that's about 3 babies born per minute in our country. So the trends in the fertility rate in the Philippines started in 1993. We have like around 3 to 4 deliveries per woman. But as of now, the average is around 1.9 deliveries per woman. But this is based na by 2055, our projected population would be already 138-39 million by that time. The thing is, when we did a survey with women, with married women of reproductive age, around almost 50% do not want to have another pregnancy. But when you look at them using contraceptives, around only 42% are using a current modern method, while 17% are using traditional methods like you're using withdrawal or calendar method. There's still 12% patients who have not yet used any contraceptive. Pag sinabi mong unmet need is these are patients who are sexually active but are not using any contraceptive methods. So, ang usual na ginagamit ng unmarried women are those who using withdrawal and a male condom for those unmarried women. Tapos, in 2021, there's a young adult fertility study wherein they interviewed 15 to 24-year-old adults, young adults, and they found out that premarital sex is already been happening. Okay? So around, sabihin na natin, 1/4 has already been engaging in premarital sex. And these teenagers or young adults are not using your contraceptives or even use a condom during sexual initiation. So when you do not use a condom, they're actually opening themselves up to sexually transmitted infection as well as getting pregnant. Back in 2024, they've seen that the total live births have increased around 35% in teenage pregnancy. So still alarming that the Philippines has the highest teenage pregnancies in all of Asia. So,
Doc, hello
other
po.
than having teenage, sorry?
Doc, medyo choppy po kayo, inaudible po. Naririnig po yung hangin in your
Until
end.
now?
Yes po, Doc.
How about, yan, better?
Yes
Yeah.
po, Doc.
Okay, nakatapat kasi electric fan sa mukha ko. Anyway, so the thing with teenage pregnancies, ang isa pang magiging worry natin is those having repeat pregnancy. So meaning if these teenage pregnant patients would have pregnancies within 24 months after their pregnancy. So based on the Commission on Population and Development, there are women who have been having had 5 or more births before they turn 20. So imagine that, teenager ka pa lang, 5 na yung anak mo. Diba? So based on the UNFPA State of World Population, around 47 in 1,000 Filipino girls already gave birth. 71 in every 1,000 Filipina has had an unintended pregnancies. And then the Philippine ranks 56 among 150s for unintended pregnancies, and 50% of more than 50% of all pregnancies have unintended pregnancies. So the thing is, when you are reproductively aged, sexually active woman, no contraceptive use, so okay. May screen viewed, kita pa rin?
Yes po, Doc.
Okay. Sige. Anong part yung narinig niyo? Naabutan niyo ba yung, anong part yung huling narinig niyo? Hello? Okay. So when there is when a woman is a reproductive age and is sexually active with no contraceptive use, then there is unintended pregnancy. So when you have unintended pregnancy, there are maternal and neonatal outcomes that are adverse maternal and neonatal outcomes. So most likely these women do not have adequate or timely prenatal care. There's increased risk in mortality. Some of them are more likely to smoke and drink while they're pregnant, while they would have children who are premature with low birth weight, are not breastfed, and are at risk for being overweight with stunted growth, as well as negative physical and cognitive outcomes. So your puerperium or your postnatal postpartum care is within the 42 days after the baby has been born. So it's a critical time for women and their newborns together with their partners and caregivers. Since these are a lot of changes in the woman's life as well as it is related to their newborn. So your postnatal care services should be a fundamental component of the continuum care of your mother and your newborn. So your postnatal care objectives are to maintain and promote health and well-being of the mother and the baby, to identify if there are any risks that the patient may have, to prevent complications after delivery, and to foster support from family and the community. And if there are health-related and social needs, we can address them. So your WHO has what you call this, yung recommendations for maternal and newborn care in the postnatal experience, there are 63 components. They're divided into 3. Hello? Hello?
Yes po, Doc.
Ayan, okay. Ito yung postnatal care model ng WHO. And there is, at one part of it is your postpartum contraception and your maternal and newborn nutrition and breastfeeding. So with the breastfeeding, they recommend that all babies should be exclusively breastfed from birth to 6 months. And mothers should be counseled about breastfeeding. And all facilities should have a clear written breastfeeding policy for staff and the patients and their parents, as well as the health facility staff should provide these services and support for these women so they would have information about breastfeeding. Tapos there's also some recommendation about interventions on treatment of postpartum breast engorgement and prevention of postpartum mastitis. So it's more on non-pharmacological interventions rather than pharmacological interventions. There's also a part there wherein they said that contraception should be provided, information and services during postnatal care. Because why do we want to give postpartum family planning? Because it is the time where mothers are highly motivated not to get pregnant. I haven't seen a pregnant patient, a postpartum mother who's excited to get pregnant. Okay? So they would be able to initiate the method before they send them home, and then they could continue the contraceptive method for 2 years or longer, depending on how many years or spacing or how many children they would want to have. And it also prevents rapid repeat pregnancy. So, ang maganda dyan is, if you give your prenatal checkups with your patients, you give postpartum care, and then after postpartum care, you give infant checkup. So, some methods may not be given immediately postpartum, and the thing is, it's very unpredictable when their fertility would return and when is sexual intercourse resumed. So, madalas pwedeng nagsusukob yung pregnancy. So in a public health perspective, the healthcare providers, eventually when you become primary caregivers, we should incorporate your postpartum family planning services with antenatal care, the birthing, the postnatal care, child health in the services. And we should provide several linkages between the community and the facility wherein family planning method services are available. And breastfeeding status of the mother should also be considered when you give your contraceptive method. So here are, kumbaga, other than being in a hospital, pwede ka pa rin magbigay ng mga other services for your patients other than family planning. So you can give actually your prevention of mother-to-child transmission of HIV. You can teach your mothers about other illnesses, their well baby visit. So pwede nyo na siyang isabay yung family planning consultation with that. So if you work in a primary care facility, ito yung mga opportunities na pwede mo siyang i-insert yung ating FP method. So during your antenatal checkup, during their postpartum consultation, during postnatal, when they have their screening for their babies, HIV screening, tapos even sa women health test pwede siya. Tapos sa hospital, yun, ang daming pwede nating times na i-counsel sila on family planning. So, what is family planning ba talaga? So, family planning, it allows people to attain their desired number of children and determine the spacing of pregnancies by using contraceptive methods. So, family planning is the program. You use contraceptive methods to achieve the plans of a person, a woman, or a couple. So your benefits in a public health perspective, other than not having unintended pregnancies, would prevent pregnancy-related health risks in women, You would have reduced infant mortality, help prevents sexually transmitted infection like your HIV and AIDS, would allow the women to be empowered and would be able to educate themselves, reduce adolescent pregnancies, and also slow unsustainable population growth. So family planning methods or contraceptive methods can also be non-contraceptive benefits, like it gives decreased risk on endometrial, ovarian, and colorectal cancers. It regulates your menstrual cycle. Diba? Sometimes with your polycystic ovaries, we give them also. You also use to treat abnormal uterine bleeding, acne, hirsutism, pelvic pain from endometriosis, and premenstrual syndrome and dysmenorrhea. So the recommended timing and spacing of a pregnancy is at least 24 months after a live birth, for them to get pregnant again at least 6 months from a miscarriage. So, bago magbuntis ulit, at least nakadalawang taon na yung anak nila bago magbuntis ulit. Because this reduces the risk of maternal and perinatal and infant outcomes. Now, let's discuss contraceptive effectiveness. So, when you see it in books or in journals, you'll see typical or perfect use as described. Pag sinabi mong typical use, it's actually how the patient really use it, kasama yung inconsistency and incorrect use. While if it's perfect use, it's the recommended way of using your contraceptive during every intercourse. But before that, of course, before we give your contraceptives, we have to assess your clients and counsel them properly with the methods. So we use the DOH has used an FP Form 1 wherein you get all the information that's important for your clients or your patients. So, andyan yung medical history, obstetrical history, your risk of sexually transmitted infection, risk of violence against women, and also the physical exam. Now, the second page yung sa likod, makita niyo dito sa baba, there is a question wherein we ask questions about to make sure that the patient is not pregnant. So, this is the pregnancy checklist. So, not just you asking or doing a pregnancy test. You can ask these questions to make sure your client or your patient is not pregnant. So if in these questions the client or the patient would answer one yes, then you are reasonably sure that she is not pregnant. So very important when you give your FP methods, patient is not pregnant. So the WA and the WHO, the DOH wants to use counseling, the gather method when you do counseling for your patient. You greet your patient, and then you ask her what she needs, and if she has any concerns, you tell the patient about the benefits of FP and ano yung napili niyang method, or help her consider which method to use, or help her if she has any concerns, explain fully the method that she chose, and then have her return if she needs, or refer her to another facility if it's not available. So, gone are the days that we force our patients on contraceptive methods. We follow the principle of informed choice and voluntarism, wherein there are basic clients' rights to information, access, choice, safety, privacy, confidentiality, and dignity, comfort, continuity, and opinion when they choose the method that they want. So there shouldn't be any forms of coercion or misinterpretation when we provide contraceptive methods. So this is an administrative order from the DOH. So now let's go to the methods. In your book, they have compared all the methods, and they gave a tiered approach on your contraceptive methods based on effectivity. So you can see here, your implants, IUD, your ligation, or squamous sterilization and vasectomy is more effective as compared to withdrawal spermicides, which is the lower tier. Therefore na nga siya because there's increased patient, para may compliance part on the patient when they use the methods below. It's just showing them, ito yung mga methods natin. But again, bakit dito less than 1% chance of getting pregnant with your ligation? Ano ba ang may 100% na not getting pregnant sa tingin nyo? Ano yung 100% na hindi mabubuntis ang pasyente? Anybody? well, not answering. So, kung hindi magko-contact, no sex. Doon lang talaga hindi mabubuntis ang pasyente. Okay, so even your sterilization methods, hindi 100% yan, ha? So now let's go to your permanent methods, which is your sterilization. So with your vasectomy, the vas deferens is cut, which prohibits sperm from passing into the ejaculate. So lalabasan pa rin ang similya pero hindi na siya, wala nang bala. For tubal sterilization, either we cut the tubes or block it by using your by cutting the tubes. So right now, what we usually do is your bilateral salpingectomy to reduce the risk of ovarian cancer. So you see your effectiveness, it's 99.5 or 99.9%, and you can have it done within the BTL, can have it done within 7 days for postpartum, or after that, 6 weeks postpartum. Your vasectomy can be done anytime, 3 months after the vasectomy.
Recording
then
stopped.
You will have your semen analysis to confirm if there's no sperm already in the seminal fluid. So for side effects or BTL, the patient may have pain or swelling in the incision site. There's superficial bleeding. Vasectomy naman, there's discomfort for the patient, either pain and scrotal swelling or bruising, which decrease about 2 to 3 days. Or pag nakita ng dugo, baka himatayin yung lalaki. So now let's go to your long-acting reversible contraceptives. We have the implant and the IUD. So your long-acting reversible contraceptives is what we call the insert and forget contraceptives, wherein they are highly effective and they are immediately reversible with rapid return to fertility. So you have higher continuation rates and user satisfaction because of that. And you can use them for nulliparous women and adolescents. So let's go with your IUD. So it's a small flexible T-shaped plastic frame, either with a copper or small amounts of your levonorgestrel, and there's a string that's tied to them which hangs through the cervix into the vagina around 2 to 3 centimeters outside the cervix. So your copper IUD can be used up to 10 to 12 years, while your levonorgestrel intrauterine device can be used up to 5 years. There's a video of how it's inserted. Kita niyo ba? Ay, wait. Balik pala tayo sa insert. How to insert. So, ganun siya pag i-insert sa ating IUD. Okay? So, what happens is, if it's the copper, it causes local and inflammatory response in the endometrium, which incapacitates the sperm. While your IUD, your levonorgestrel can actually add on. It thickens the cervical mucus, decreases the tubal motility, it is an inactive endometrium. So that causes the patient not to get pregnant. Remember, your IUD does not cause an abortion because it prevents only implantation and ovulation. So side effects, pain on insertion, there's abdominal uterine bleeding for your copper IUD increase while reduced for your levonorgestrel intrauterine system. Perforation is rare unless the healthcare provider does not know how to insert the IUD. Pregnancy complication can also happen if proper assessment is not done. And if infection may also ensue if we don't follow the screening guidelines or the patient has an infection when you insert the IUD. So your IUDs can have a reduction in the risk of cervical and endometrial cancer, while your levonorgestrel intrauterine system can be used to treat your endometrial cancer. Effectiveness, again, less than 1% chance of getting pregnant, and you can insert it anytime during the cycle, provided that she's not pregnant. You can insert it immediately within 48 hours or intracesarean section or post-abortion within 2 weeks. And it can be also used as an emergency contraception within 5 days of unprotected sex. Now, for your progestin subdermal implant, there are 2 types. One, either the 1 rod or the 2 rods, which contain a progestin hormone, etonogestrel or levonorgestrel, wherein you insert it subdermally in the non-dominant arm using an inserter or a trocar, and effective from 3 to 5 years. So the progestin hormone inhibits ovulation and thickens the cervical mucus. Thus, the patient does not ovulate and the egg is not fertilized. So this is a sample of a video of how it's inserted. This is the single run. So the plunger, parang yung bevel, cuts, is punctures the skin and then levels to the arm. And then you lift the skin and then insert the implant, the needle that has the implant, and then you release the implant in the arm. So with anesthesia, of course. So yun siya ginagawa. So again, effectivity, it's 99.95%. Your Implanon NXT has the etonogestrel component. It's up to 5 years, 3 years, while your Levoplant is up to 3 years, but it's a 2-rod implant. And then the Jadel, which is also levonorgestrel implant, is up to 5 years naman. So anytime you can insert the implant, basta hindi sure ka na hindi pregnant, and it can be immediately given postpartum and post-abortion. Now, if you have patients who are taking the following medications, so phenytoin, carbamazepine, rifampicin, which is the most common, and antiretrovirals, they can affect the hormones, so they can actually get pregnant if they're taking all of these medications. So these patients should have to inform their doctors or their healthcare providers that they are starting any medications when they are on the hormonal contraceptive, right? So the side effects of these hormonal contraceptives, they have altered bleeding patterns, so either amenorrhea or infrequent or prolonged bleeding. They may have headache, weight gain, mood swings, breast changes, bloatedness, and sexual problems. So proper counseling should be done. Now for the non-contraceptive benefits of your hormones. So there's protective effect. Again, di ba kanina with endometrial cancer, and then they can also reduce ovarian cancer for oral contraceptives. It improves heavy menstrual bleeding, and then treatment for PCOS. Now let's go with your injectable suspensions. There's what we have locally is the depo-medroxyprogesterone acetate intramuscular. We don't have the subcutaneous yet locally. And it's similar, has the progestin implant. So side effects, altered bleeding pattern, weight changes, mood changes, headache, decreased bone mineral density if you've been using it for 2 years, but it's reversible. And some benefits may also be for hormonal sensitive epilepsy or sickle cell pain crisis. So the effectiveness, 99.7% for perfect use, while typical use is 97%. You can use this 6 weeks postpartum while the patient is fully breastfeeding, and 3 weeks postpartum if none or partially breastfeeding, because it has an effect on the breast milk production. So you can have it either, again, anytime during the menstrual cycle as long as the patient's not pregnant, or immediately post-abortion. The thing with your DMPA, there's the delay in the return to fertility, mga 9 to 10 months after the last injection of your DMPA. Now, your oral contraceptives, they have either the combined oral contraceptives, which has both estrogen and progesterone, while your breastfeeding pills only contain your progesterone-only pills. So again, since it's a hormonal contraceptive, it inhibits ovulation by suppressing your FSH and your LH surge. It thickens the cervical mucus and it thins out your endometrium. So, paano ba pinipili yung ating combined hormonal contraceptives? It actually depends on what adverse side effects you don't want. If the patient does not want estrogenic or androgenic components, then we use other methods. So, kunwari, as you go down the generation, lesser side effects for the 4th degree. Yan yung ating changes kung anong depende nga sa pasyente, kung anong gusto niyang matutolerate na side effects, and depende sa budget niya. So there's an app actually online that they can use to help them track if they're taking their pills. Para may alarm, para hindi makakalimutan. So side effects similar to the other side effects, ng other hormones, nausea, breast tenderness, headaches, acne, weight gain, or altered bleeding patterns for your progesterone-only pills. But the benefits are it reduces risk for iron deficiency, anemia, and PID, reduces risk for ovarian, endometrial, colon, and rectal cancer. It also reduces incidence of excess hair and body and acne, and also reduces symptoms of PCOS and endometriosis. Now, they have a concern about breast cancer with your combined oral contraceptives. They would say it is increased by 25%, but would disappear after cessation. The risk is not increased even in high-risk high-risk patients with breast cancer. So, they would say that patients would have increased risk in cervical cancer with patients who are using oral contraceptive pills. But this might be due to these patients who are using your pills who are actually sexually active. So the contraindications for your combined oral contraceptives are for smokers more than 35 years old with uncontrolled hypertension, history of breast, endometrial, or liver cancer. They have history of vascular diseases, so hindi kasama dyan ang varicose veins, ha. So it's either thromboembolism, thrombophlebitis, atherosclerosis, or stroke. Your patient has active SLE, has undiagnosed uterine bleeding, or again with medications such as rifampicin, phenytoin, phenobarbital, and carbamazepine. So what happens when you're a smoker and you use a combined oral contraceptive that has estrogen? So if a smoker is using COCs, mataas yung chances of myocardial infarction, as you can see for non-smokers, and a non-smoker is using COCs. So parang 10 times higher than your non-smokers na gumagamit ng COCs. So perfect use of your oral contraceptive pills is 99.7% and goes down to 92% for typical use. So if postpartum combined oral contraceptives dapat supposed to be more than 6 months kasi nababawasan yung milk production ng estrogen. If she's partially or non-breastfeeding, you should start in 3 weeks onwards because the patient might ovulate already at 3 weeks. And you can immediately start them if during post-abortion miscarriage, or for progestin-only pills, anytime pwede siyang kabilan. So how do you take it? So cyclically, you have to take it daily for 28 days for those 28 days na pills or a 21-day pills. Sometimes they do extended or continuous intake. Parang 84 active pills tapos pill-free for 7 days. So parang every 4 months ka lang nire-regular. While your progestin-only pills should be taken daily for 28 days and ideally same time every day para hindi ka mag-escape ovulation. Now we have your barrier methods. So we have your male and your female condom. The female condom is the one on the left. It's not locally available. So they use latex rubber either to fit the man's erect penis or a woman's vagina. So they often lubricate it or they have spermicidal components with the lubricant. So of all the methods, this is the only one that prevents both pregnancy and sexually transmitted infection and acts as a barrier to prevent the sperm from getting into the uterine cavity to meet the egg. So dito, perfect use, 98%. If you use your condoms properly, 95% for the female condom, and it goes down to 85% for males and 79% for females for its typical use. Now let's go with your breastfeeding or lactation amenorrhea method. So if your patient is postpartum, there are 3 requirements for her breastfeeding to be used as a contraceptive method. So the patient should be at least fully or nearly fully breastfeeding. Yung timing, it's on demand, but not more than 4 hours interval during the day and 6 hours at night time. The patient is amenorrheic, so the menses should have not returned after 8 weeks postpartum because the first 2 weeks parang meron pa siyang lochia, di ba? And then your infant is less than 6 months old. So what happens, it temporarily prevents the release of your hormones that causes maturation and release of the ovum, thus preventing ovulation when they breastfeed. So it's perfect use, 99.5%, and typical use goes down to 90%. Pero remember, pagka hindi na siya exclusively breastfeeding, pwede na mabuntis ang patient. Now, let's go with your fertility awareness-based methods. There are different types. Yung calendar rhythm method, yan yung 6 cycles na kinocompute mo, yung 18 days from the shortest cycle, 11 days from the longest cycle. And then you recompute every month. But the easiest way to teach your patient is still the standard-based method. For patients with 26 to 32 days cycle, the unsafe period is days 8 to 19 of your menses. So parang from day 1 of the menses, 7 days na safe, then 12 days na unsafe, then 7 days ulit na safe. You also have your basal body temperature, your Billings ovulation method, and your symptothermal method, wherein you combine your calendar temperature and cervical mucus. Yeah, so this is a app. So, yan siya. Okay? So, they can also do the cycle beads. May bayad nga lang yung app na yun. Now for emergency contraception, okay? So I have to emphasize here, it only inhibits and delays ovulation. It does not cause an abortion. So it can be used up to 120 hours after an intercourse. So it prevents pregnancy by inhibiting and delaying ovulation. We don't have plan B here in the Philippines, but we use the USP method. So it's either using a combined oral contraceptive, 2 doses of 4 tablets of the active pill every 12 hours. You can also use an intrauterine device or para the ulipristal acetate, it's not locally available. Now you can download this PDF. It's free. The Family Planning Handbook for Providers. So it's a PDF file. Just go to www.fphandbook.org. All methods are discussed per chapter. And there's a chapter with special concerns. Now, the McWheel is also used to help you out counsel your patients kung meron silang mga medical problems. But there's also an app. You can download the app. Parang nasa Google, parang nasa Safari or your Chrome. Now, if your patient has a lot of medical problems, you can use your WHO contraception tool. You can combine at the most 3 medical conditions when you're doing this. Okay? Or if a patient is postpartum, you can also go to this link where it can help you counsel your patients which method they can actually use. Yun ang maganda sa mga apps na sa websites. Now, remember, when you categorize which methods you can actually use, basta ideally 1 and 2 you can use for your clients or patients. 3, nasa gray area, or 4, they cannot use the method. So, basta 1 and 2 pwedeng gamitin ng patient. Now, we have local CPGs that you can also use. Itong Philippine Family Planning Handbook, you can download it online. But the POG CPG, it's not available online. Now, you can also, if you're interested, you can actually undergo family planning competency-based training. Healthcare providers, just regular doctors, midwives, and nurses can actually undergo the both trainings. So, meron niya online. You can do your DOH Academy training. Nandiyan siya. So, pwede siyang family planning competency-based workshop. You can do it online. So, yan siya. Level 1. Makikita siya online. But there's certificate of competency. Parang may practicum kasi siya. If you want to have family planning practice in your when you're a general practitioner doctor. So again, in summary, there's a steady decline in the population, but with an alarming increase of teenage pregnancies and unintended pregnancies can have a significant impact on both the mother and the child. A postpartum period is critical time for women and newborns, partners, parents, and caregivers and their families, and we should emphasize on the importance of lactation use of contraception for our postpartum women. Contraceptives cannot just prevent unintended pregnancies, but they can also have non-contraceptive benefits and can be used to treat gynecologic conditions. But there should be proper client assessment, and counseling plays a very important role in FP provision and acceptance by clients. It's very important to uphold the principle of informed choice and voluntarism and basic human rights in providing FP services, and several types of contraceptives are available with varying administration options to help suit the different preferences and needs of your clients. So in order to provide maternal health, we have to focus on improving all women's health and access to care, not just during labor and delivery, but before and after pregnancy and throughout our lives. So thank you everyone for listening. Do you have any questions? Share po by screen. Anyway, no questions? So I will upload na lang the lecture also on the, we'll have the Jalo upload the lecture on, ano to? On Canvas. On Canva. Upload it online. Okay? Thank you everyone and have a good afternoon. Bye.
Thank you po, Doc.
Thank you, Doc.
Thank
Thank you
you.
po, Doc.